All right. Yep.
Just need to make sure I'm muted over here. Dun, 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 dun. It is not live. That's weird. Hold on. Maybe it is. Do you see it playing on YouTube? Oh, okay. We're good. We're good.
I can't see YouTube right now. No.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast. I haven't done one of these in a long time, so this is going to be great. Here with me, I have the one and only Adam Duff from Lucid Pixel. I've been following his stuff for a long time. I personally believe he's one of the best YouTube channels. Well,
holy smokes!
Which I've mentioned before. Like every time I listen to your stuff, I'm like in a different mental space, and it helps me. Anyway, let me just share my screen to.
Sure.
I'm sure most people already know you, but in case there's anyone who doesn't, I'll kind of just add to stream. Yeah. So yeah, here's his. You want to guide us through this? And
sure.
Where's your home and gallery? Okay. I love your themes, by the way. Kind of like darker fantasy illustrations.
Thank you.
But yeah, really great talks, really great artwork, and he also offers mentorships and had a YouTube channel. Unfortunately, it was under attack, and we're trying to be in talks with YouTube to get that sorted out. So hopefully
let me interject, Ahmed. I want to say this too. I wouldn't even have a smidgen of a hope of getting a channel back if it wasn't for you. Between you and Borodante, you guys have been like just behind this. A lot of you guys don't know this, but Ahmed has been supporting me behind the scenes and trying to get me attention from Google, because there is like little to no way to reach out to anybody when this stuff happens on Google or YouTube. You're kind of left on your own. So thank you. Honest to God, you deserve a lot of credit for that, because you've been really supportive through the whole thing.
Sure. Cool, man. I mean, I think you would do the same.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, so yeah, here's his stuff. And if it turns out because your channel was hacked and all the videos were deleted and we have to start from scratch, we will be there with you the whole way, bringing it back up to snuff.
Thank you.
So aside from that, do you have anything to add about who you are in terms of introduction?
Well, I can't beat an introduction like that. No, I am a YouTuber, was a YouTuber until the tragedy.
So how'd it happen? I mean, I know how it happened, but
well, it's actually really I'm going to do a video about it for sure, because it's quite it's an interesting experience. Have you ever been hacked yourself? Has that ever happened to you?
No.
Okay.
Not yet. I hope not.
I fell for a phishing scam. Essentially, somebody claiming to be from CD Projekt Red got in touch with me and asked me if I was interested in doing a live kind of intro beta demo on my channel for the new Cyberpunk. And I thought I'm sure you experienced this with all the subs you've got and everything like that. You get really, really harassed by people who want to do sponsorships and promotions. You never know which ones are legit, right? Yeah. And they're usually for like Hoboken Auto Trader. Like, who the hell is this? How does that? But this one I felt was legit, because I very often support a lot of Polish producers and stuff like that, and I have a lot of love for what they produce at CD Projekt Red. So I thought they probably saw my videos. And thought I would be somebody who would be worth promoting, and I was very excited about it. The hackers' customer service, I must say, is second to none. Their customer service was fantastic. I'm still, believe it or not, I'm still in contact with the guy who hacked me. Yes. He's actually kind of a nice guy. I ended up it's a long story.
He's not giving you your stuff back?
Well, no, he's got a job, right? His job is to get money from me, because it's they're trying to hijack my channel and get money, ask for money to get it back through Bitcoin and stuff like that. But he kind of, after he had hacked me, I had a little bit of a panic attack, and then I wrote back. I kind of composed myself, and I wrote back and kind of thought to myself, no, I'm not going to call him names and just spew vitriol. That's exactly what he's expecting, right? And I kind of put myself in his shoes and thought to myself, what would it be like to be in a position like him, with a guy with his kind of communication skills and his kind of professionalism, to have to resort to hacking to make it ends meet wherever he is. I don't know where he is, right? So I decided to come back with kind of this, with some empathy, and I understand it's too bad, but shit happens, and thanks for the lesson type of thing. And he kind of
pure soul.
Well, no, I don't want to. I hate coming across as being some like kind of pure saint. It's not like that. It's just a question of kind of coming out of my little entitled bubble, and like, oh, you ruined my life and whatever, that kind of shit. And I came back with a very much kinder tone than I imagined he was expecting. He changed his tone with me. Because at the beginning, it was kind of like, oopsie, got your channel, oops, that kind of thing. And he originally was asking me for $400 to get my channel back, or they could delete your stuff. And after us chatting for a little while, he ended up kind of saying, listen, I have to ask for something. I can't get your channel back without something, but I'll just give you like $100, He kept knocking down the price. And I said, and I came to a point between dealing with Google and dealing with YouTube and the lack of customer service from them and dealing with this guy. And I thought, you know what? I'll pay you for security training, but it has to be a secure. I just have to have assurance that it's safe. I'm not going to do this Bitcoin stuff because I need to know that it's safe. I'll pay you through PayPal. I'm not going to report you or any of that crap. This guy would normally reply within 5 minutes. I could write him at 3:00 in the morning. He'd reply to me. And after this, I just said, I just need a promise from you that it's a secure thing, that you're just not going to take my money and run. And normally these guys don't. Right. They have a reputation. If they grab somebody's money and leaves, nobody's ever going to pay them again, right? Canon is actually dealing with this with their cloud service. They got hacked as well, and they're considering paying the hackers as well. But he never replied. He ghosted me the moment I asked him for payment. I asked him to pay him. Said I'll pay you, but he couldn't. I guess he couldn't promise. He couldn't make a promise that it would be safe. Right. And he said, "Let this guy go." And he never deleted my stuff. All my stuff is still there. It's just privated. So I'm still.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
Yeah. I can actually tell if you're ever in this position, if anybody saves your videos, if they save your videos, you can see if they've been deleted or privated. And my girlfriend has them all saved. So when you go in a feed, she sees the privated. So they're not deleted, but my Google account's back, but I'm still waiting to get my YouTube channel back.
Well, hopefully YouTube just gives it all back and realizes what happened. And
I'm pretty sure it will.
Yeah.
It's just going to take some time. It's a slow process. Like they reply once a day type of thing.
Okay.
And it's a very procedural reply once a day. So it just goes slow. And the trick is you just have to be patient.
Okay.
Let them do their job and just be patient about it. So
fingers crossed.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on. That's quite the predicament you're in.
Yeah.
But I think we'll get through it. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. So moving from that, we did chat before we started the video with emails in terms of topics of what to cover, and kind of offer, I guess, from our experiences to anyone who's watching. And the topic was a lot about social media, the pressures of social media, from starting out as a beginner or professional. One way or another, it's going to impact you positively and negatively. So kind of diving into that. And I agree. It's a really great idea to talk about. And let me just scroll up real quick. And so I'm not really focusing too much on the chat, but we will have if we have enough time. Bye, Ahmed. You're not listening to me.
We're listening, Luna. So we're doing 5 things at the same time. So you are important. So don't sweat that.
Luna, please.
Luna, yes.
Don't leave.
No, cool.
Okay. Anyway,
it's our eyes are here and there and all over the place. So don't sweat it. We will try to catch up though.
It's a wild feed. Anyway, but we will announce like, hey, it's a Q&A time. Leave your questions here. Don't ask them now. We're not searching for the questions.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm just a bit. Okay. So I'm just trying to find your part of the email. The ups and downs of social media for professionals, how to deal with the stresses of it, productivity, realistic expectations, healthy habits, and then building a name online. I don't know if we'll get to everything, but let's just start with something and see what happens organically. By the way, how long do you want to go for on here?
As long as everybody feels comfortable. Once we see the stream dies, You know,
Okay.
and I start getting death threats on my door. I think it'll be time to
Yeah.
stop. Yeah, but I'm not in a rush. It's fine.
I mean, get this. They're choosing us over watching PewDiePie and Dr. Disrespect stream together right now, which is a huge,
Yeah,
a
well,
huge deal.
PewDiePie, you can see PewDiePie's dying. Adam,
Uh,
Ahmed,
yeah.
we'll take over the reins. Don't sweat it.
T-Series, more like Duff Al-Duri.
Like what? Anyways, what?
Yeah. Anyway, so my response to you in the email was things I learned from being on social media. Now, I've been on for a long time, started a YouTube channel, all that stuff. Everyone knows our stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking of this idea, this concept that I like to call the infinite river. And basically, social media, YouTube, Instagram, ArtStation, it's like this big torrent river that's always happening with new stuff, new comments, new art constantly. It's literally the infinite river. And as a result, we're kind of in the middle of it. We're undergoing hyperstimulation of constant new art, new everything, which I believe leads to being desensitized to a lot of things. It becomes a distraction. You're sort of hypnotized by it, actually.
Yeah, you can, for sure. Absolutely.
And you kind of feel numb, right? And so you end up putting a lot of things in your brain as a part of your creative process as an artist. And at least for me, and I end up in things like analysis paralysis, especially when all those things are swirling around. It's like you're in it. Everything's happening. And so lately I've been doing these things maybe like once a week where, I mean, my modem's over there. I'll just get up from my computer when I'm stressed out about this stuff, and I'll walk over and just unplug it. It is one of the most relieving things ever. And the moment I
just had that experience recently too.
The moment I disconnect, I like can see the world for the first time. I'm like, was this wall always here? Did I always have this plant? What the
is
hell?
That
the sky?
Plants are growing all across your house. Like, oh shit.
Right. And so it also gives a chance to kind of meditate and not even meditate. It's just the default state we're supposed to be in. We're not really evolved to be constantly, shown like a strobe light of content. But it gives you a chance to face the things that you are and the things that you aren't, and coming to terms with where you are on your journey to really address what you need to do for your goals. And I believe truly that in that state is where your creativity happens as an artist. So if you have any thoughts on that.
Oh gosh, where do I start? Jeez. I mentioned that I had that experience over my holidays. I just had my summer holiday, and my family was out of town, except for I was here with my older daughter, and I had 3 weeks of holiday. I spent half of it worrying about whether or not I should take advantage of this time to get more work done, get more videos done. And it was funny enough. I'm sitting there and I was constantly stressed about, should I be doing this and recording audio? And, I've got the house to myself, because since COVID, it's harder to record audio. It's harder to record audio because my family's always home. Normally my kids would be at school and I'd have some quiet time in the house, but I didn't have that as much. So I thought, okay, I should be making up for lost time and kind of making videos. And I thought half of my vacation I spent worrying about it. And then I saw Jazz's video on his personal, because he has Draw with Jazz, and then he has
something like
that. And he talked about how he was kind of losing his sense of identity, and how his channel was having a bit of an existential crisis. He was talking about how he lost himself in the process of trying to keep up with this work, and it stopped me and made me reflect on where my head was at that particular point in time, where I was thinking, what am I trying to keep up with? And I talk about this on my channel, right? And I hear you talk about this stuff as well. You got to realize that what you're dealing with is not people. When you're making YouTube videos, when you're doing stuff for Instagram, when you're doing stuff on Facebook or whatever your social media is, or ArtStation, you're not producing videos for people. You're producing videos for an algorithm.
Yeah.
And that algorithm is an insatiable beast that just keeps wanting more and more. The way you do, the more you produce, the more it asks you to produce. And then you do something and the algorithm rewards you for it. And you get this big spike of views and this big spike of likes, and your channel gets more attention. And then you go, okay, well, if I produce one more video a week, then that bumps me up in the algorithm and more people see it and the channel growth. And you get, like you're saying, you get this rush. But it's also doing something else. It's telling you that if you want to keep this kind of growth, you got to keep up this pace. It's easy for an algorithm to keep up that pace. It's the code.
It's a machine.
But for you're flesh and blood. You need time to come down. You need time to relax. You need time to repair. You need time to reflect. Sometimes you need to be bored. Boredom is a very important facet of creativity, right? And when I got to that point after I saw his video, I thought to myself, no, screw this.
Yeah.
Unplug. Do whatever the hell you want to do. Don't produce anything. And do so at the cost of the algorithm. Because I've always been very anti-algorithm in that regard. I produce videos because I want to bring people value. It's a personal thing for me. I want to create an atmosphere for people to feel creative, to feel meditative, right? I'm not throwing gags at them. I'm not throwing fast-paced stuff. I like to slow the pace down. I don't care what YouTube doesn't like that.
No.
I do. Right? I'm doing this for my viewers. I'm not doing it for YouTube. So I'm slowing myself down. And I also realized you also have to produce content that you can keep up with.
Right.
It's about sustainability, right? It's like Jeff Cavalier. We were talking about training before. Jeff Cavalier from Athlete X, he says, are you doing what you can or are you doing what you should? Right? And I try to keep that mentality when it comes. Take care, Luna. Stay safe. Hi, Firos. And and I kind of put myself in that headspace. I own my own space. You have to keep your integrity and hold on to your own energy, your own wavelength, and just say, I'm creating this world for myself and I'm creating it for my viewers. I'm not creating it for YouTube. Right. And when I'm learning through, like, you commit yourself to YouTube, you commit yourself to making these videos and buying all this studio equipment and doing it, everything like that. But when something goes wrong, they don't have your back.
Right.
Something goes, when I got hacked, there's no customer service. YouTube and Google don't invest their money into customer service. They invest it into PR. They'll catch you at the tail end when you complain on Twitter. A little tip, by the way, to anybody who ever gets hacked: don't try to look for advice online. Tweet about it. You'll get their. I use my Twitter 90% of the time to get attention from customer service that are ignoring me elsewhere. Twitter's great for that kind of stuff.
God, I hate Twitter, but yeah, that's
yeah. I use it for that mostly. I don't tweet otherwise, but yeah, it's owning your own space and creating your own rhythm and not letting an algorithm consume you. Because not only that, but you have ArtStation, you have DeviantArt, you've got Twitter, you've got YouTube, you've got Facebook, you've got Instagram. Instagram's one of the worst now, right? And being one human being keeping up with that entire feed, where exactly do you have time to do anything else?
Right.
It's all consuming. So I limit myself and I keep myself. I do YouTube, updates a little bit on Instagram every once in a while. And even if it doesn't make me the number one guy on social media, I don't care. That's not my goal is just to put myself out there. That's it.
That's exactly it. And I think there is a mentality that if you yourself could be the machine to optimize absolutely everything, you could be trending number one. You could be whatever. Yeah. But if it's not natural to you, it'll drain you. It'll drain you, your soul, your creativity. For example, PewDiePie, he did videos every day because it was natural to him. He enjoyed it. He didn't care about the algorithm. It just so happened to be, in his face.
His recording method let him do that too. He's not overly editing himself in that regard too. Yeah. It's also artwork. Right?
True. Yeah. Yeah. It takes a while to make art. But you did mention something that I want to come back to, and that's the willingness to be bored. Now, you and I, probably more than I did, but we grew up without internet. It didn't exist. I was, at least from when I was born till, 13 or 14, there was no internet. You had to be bored and you had to replay the same Super Nintendo game. Otherwise you'd, blow it, and so because I was so bored, I drew a lot. Yeah. And, now that you mentioned it, I realized that if I grew up with my current setup with PS4, Ghost of Tsushima, and Overwatch or whatever, I probably wouldn't be the artist that I am now.
Yeah.
I would, because I have a very addictive personality, and once I'm in something, it's like the dopamine hits and the cycle gets reinforced, and I'm like, hey, more. I died, and I'm upset, but more anyway. So yeah, the willingness to disconnect and be bored, so that you can kind of just sit with yourself. And it takes about 40 minutes for me. Once I disconnect, I have to sit like with no stimulating elements of any kind.
Yeah.
To get to that place where I'm like, okay, this is all that life is, and in that moment is when you can kind of come up with ideas, go for a walk. Walks are great because my best idea
underrated. Yeah.
That and showers. So that's such a important thing to cover.
Yeah.
But we can move on from that.
I'll add something to that, though. I'll add something to that because I also have got my kids, right? And I see we grew up in the age without internet, but our kids don't. And one of the things I've noticed, particularly now with COVID as well, is I work during the day, and I've got my kids home. They're not in school. They're supposed to start school in a couple of weeks, which I'm very on the fence about, but there's no cure yet. But seeing my 7-year-old son who loves video games too, I would say he has a very addictive personality as well. And I see an age of kids that have an inability to not be stimulated. They have to be doing something. Yeah, and they go into it's an immediate anxiety attack when he doesn't have a distraction. So I've actually made a point, and I'm slowly transitioning my kids into having nothing time. And it's anxious as hell. It's stressful. It's tapping. It's kicking the floor. It's jumping up and down and all this kind of stuff. And and after a while, I start to see my son come back. He's 7, right? We're older. We've seen more of the world and stuff like that. But it happens to us too. Yep. And when you're bored and when you can disconnect yourself, you have to get through it, because at the tail end of boredom is discovery. And if you take an artist and you lock them in a box, if you put them in solitary confinement, guaranteed after 20 minutes, they start sketching on the walls.
Yeah.
This is a guy whose brain never shuts off, right? And it's important, because when you're not only that, but you're also finding your own voice. You're not getting those distractions at the same time. So you start to find yourself in your own form of expression that way. I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, very, very true.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's, being in that place is, hurtful for a lot of people too, because, they go into games to escape from their traumas and their depression and anxiety. So I think putting off facing that up and, until you're in your 30s or something is a, unfortunate thing. But being able to, incrementally disconnect, go face that part of yourself, even if it's just a little bit, and then coming back out.
It can be almost traumatic, like quitting smoking.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know much about that, but I know you've talked about this before in your podcast, when you started up your whole jazz, was it the jazz swinging, dancing? Yeah.
And stuff like that. Yeah.
Really cool. So you found like other things to help you out of these kinds of addictions, and which is really cool.
It really, it's just the being out and being social and being physical. That's one of the things, one of the reasons I advocate for exercise is because being physical, very often you have stressful thoughts, especially now in the time of COVID, because all you have is your iPhone and your thoughts, and you're just sitting there. And the very act of being physical is a way of purging thoughts and kind of simplifying life. I exercise all the time, within healthy.
Yeah, you look really fit. I've been working out lately. I've been on keto actually for the last month and a half.
Really?
Yeah, I lost a lot of weight. Like I used to be like way chubbier, but
you're talking a guy who weighed 240 pounds.
You were 240.
Oh, I was a plumpy little boy. I was. Yes, I was. Oh yeah. I was a little kid. My weight has fluctuated too, because I also have hypothyroid. So when my medicine's no good, I just go rip. I shoot back up. So I'm always watching that kind of stuff for sure. Yeah.
Right on. I gotta say, being on keto and getting myself to work out just makes my whole experience of life way better. My creativity skyrockets. Like if you've seen my YouTube channel lately,
like big time,
a video every day or something.
I don't know how you do it.
Well, I mean, those are kind of low product. I just record myself and talk. Not too bad, but one of the ideas is like, well, as a human, there's certain things that when you wake up, there are actions you do that are just you don't think about. You wake up, you brush your teeth, go to the bathroom. It's not like you're dreading going to the bathroom. I don't want to go. And what if I'm not doing it right? For me, I was trying to find a way for a long time to get fitness and working out in that category of just things I do without thinking it. You know? Because when it's in this place where I'm trying to map out the best way, the best time to work out, what am I supposed to eat, what kind of protein powder, I end up in analysis paralysis. And so I found a kind of loophole. I know it doesn't apply to everybody, but like in my religion, in Islam, we have this like kind of holy oath kind of thing where we can promise to do something. And, you know, I'm not super religious like I used to be. But as a kid, when you say in Arabic, but I swear I'm going to do this in the name of God, right? Something like that. Right. You kind of have to do it. And so that's embedded in me.
You can't ignore that promise. Yeah.
Right. And so what I do now is like, it's like, I don't want to work out, but tomorrow I swear and do this holy oath that no matter what, I have to do it anyway before noon. Yeah. Right. And I end up doing it because now it's in the list of, I just do it. So it's been really good because.
So you're starting to feel it's more of a habit now?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's like, it's weird when I don't do it.
Yep. You get grumpy. You feel like crap. Yeah.
Like a blob melting into a chair. It's just miserable. And there's probably other Muslims that know what I'm talking about. But you know, that's just kind of a game changer where fitness, diet, you know, just doing keto and disconnecting has been really good for my creativity. Being able to meditate and all that stuff. So anyway,
a recommendation for keto, by the way, somebody who I love, like, because I follow a lot of fitness and health and stuff like that. So, and not only that, but also for all different types of health is Eric Berg, the YouTube channel Eric Berg, B-E-R-G. Love this guy, and he offers very sound because he's somebody who works in he originally started he was an MD for many years, but then he transitioned to doing more of a naturopath in that sense, but he's got both backgrounds. He's not just one or the other. And his advice is very straightforward. He really breaks down the science of health. There's also that other guy, that super, super buff fitness guy. The heck's his name again? Yeah, that's him right there. And he's a big advocate for keto as well. But he also teaches about different body types, you know, the adrenal body type, the body, all that kind of stuff. Because remember that weight gain also has a lot to do with adrenals, right? And how you gain weight.
I'm pretending I know what you're talking about.
But how your body gains weight, where you gain it, can tell you exactly what the cause is.
Okay.
You know, but very fascinating. I learned a whole lot about him, absolutely, from him. You know, he's definitely worth following.
I have that bookmark.
He doesn't get too sciencey. You know, he doesn't get too complicated with all the math and the science, so it doesn't overwhelm you. It's very followable in that sense. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we can see what the next bullet point is. Being overwhelmed by other artists' work, and the fact that what I learned is that other people's successes does not invalidate your own success or potential to succeed. Yeah. And going back to what you were saying about doing all these things for the algorithm, it's okay to not be the absolute best at absolutely everything. Like kind of forgive yourself for wherever you are in your journey and just know where you are and then move forward from there. Like don't judge yourself because you're not here yet, or, you know, this younger kid did it way fast. Like, you know, your journey is specific to you. And don't let other people succeeding invalidate your journey. If you don't have anything to add to that, I'll just move on to the next.
Well, I would say that here's a little trick I use to mitigate that, because for me, when it comes to art, I admire many artists and it's seductive, right? There's the seduction of seeing great art from other people. And I found that there's two different types of artists that I expose myself to. The ones I fan about, which is a lot, right? But there's also the ones that help me artistically. Like there's certain artists I can follow because I relate to them and they help to inspire me. Like Beksiński, the Polish artist Zdzisław Beksiński, or Frank Frazetta, or Guillermo del Toro, or artists like that, you know, or Miyazaki, of course, Miyazaki as well, all of his productions. I listen to that. I expose myself to that. It's overwhelmingly beautiful, but it does not distract me from what I do. It actually, I can relate to it. But if I look at yours, I can't look at you. I can't watch your stuff when I'm painting. It's seductively good, and it's very different from me. My latest piece is very inspired by you, by the way.
Oh, really?
I decided to take a challenge with color. I'm pushing color a little bit in my piece, but but if I watch your stuff when I'm painting, because you're so different and because your approach is just, it almost feels like this cryptic language of art. I can't, like, how does he do this? And it pulls me away.
Interesting.
When I'm done, when I'm finished painting, then I'll look at your stuff, because then I don't need the distraction. I have to be in my own little bubble. So who you expose yourself to artistically matters. It can push you or pull you in different directions. Yeah.
That's really interesting. Yeah. I'm honored, of course, that, but there's a book called Deep Work that kind of touches on this, and it describes this ideal architecture of rooms of how to get to your most creative self, right? To be in the flow state, and it's like 5 rooms, I believe, and one leads to the next. The first room is just the introductory lounge where there's a couch, there's some coffee, there's people mulling about, whatever. So maybe some music, some whatever, just whatever. Walking in, the next room is the kind of like boardroom where you're in a meeting with people and you're kind of just getting ideas bounced around. And this might be kind of paralleling to us looking at other people's art or coming up with ideas. The next room is the library. This is where you're pulling out specific references, specific images and things that you're going to use, and inspirations, and maybe some Beksiński stuff and whatever. The final room, I think I'm skipped one, but the idea is that the final room is called the dungeon. And I think this is what you're describing, the little bubble. Yeah. Disconnect from all of that. You've got everything you need. You got the specific ingredients for the cake you're about to make. And you just get in there and get in the flow state. So, it's cool to see that kind of show up in what you're saying.
Funny, you're verbalizing my thoughts and kind of helping me to organize them. Because I kind of do it as just I've fallen into a groove artistically the way I work. But what you're doing is kind of helping me understand myself a little bit better, which is kind of neat. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I can't take credit for it. It's from a book called Deep Work.
Deep Work. Who? Do you know who wrote that?
I can.
Yeah, I'd be very curious to see that. I'd love to read it.
It is Cal Newport.
Calvin Port?
Cal Newport.
Oh, Cal Newport. Okay.
Yeah, it's like the types of business kind of books.
Okay.
Is that a Lord of the Rings poster in your background? Yep.
Work. Excellent.
Yeah,
I got it. I'm taking a note. Yep.
I haven't said hello to any of these people yet.
Yeah.
Nina, Nadia. Hello, Nadia. What's up, Robbie? I won't say hi to David Du Bois. I won't do that. I'm just gonna scroll up a little bit. Hey, Holden. Did Luna actually leave? Did you guys bully her off? Him, whatever that person is. Hey, Allegra. Long time no see. What's up, Nick? A lot of these people I met through either through my Patreon or Discord. And when I left California and I quit the whole concept art scene and whatever, moved to Ohio, I stopped in a lot of places along the way, Arizona, Texas, and I got to just hang out with these people.
Oh, very cool.
Really cool. Oh, hey, Mary. Okay, anyway, let's move on to the next bullet point.
Sure, absolutely.
And I think it kind of a slight shift, but there will always be humans in this universe who will not like or approve of you. They also usually don't like themselves, whatever. There will also be mega haters, which are like crabs in a bucket, because whenever you see someone actually successful or who, has like auras of leadership, those types of people who are succeeding don't put other people down. They don't try to drag people down and hate and dislike every video. And like, this stream got a dislike, and why? I don't know. It's like, whatever. Right. But for the longest time, I couldn't come to terms with that because I was always a people pleaser. I didn't like the idea that someone out there wasn't approving of me.
Yeah.
And I had to address my own.
Too,
yeah. So I had to address my own like codependency issues and insecurities. But like, you can't please everybody. And this is stuff that's talked about a lot. People talk about this in podcasts about art, whatever, but I think it's fine to repeat it, because having heard it all, I still get that feeling of dread when people are not liking my stuff. And so
you can't take it personally. Yeah.
Sorry?
It hits you personally.
Yeah.
You think you're desensitized to it because you're just such a big hotshot, but no, it's personal. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, I think we're evolutionarily wired to pick up and hyper focus on negative things, even if it's in a sea of positivity. Because all of your comments, I'm sure, are positive. All of mine are mostly positive. And
I get a lot of positive, yeah, for sure.
There's one negative comment every 4 or 5 videos.
And maybe. I'll never let them go. I'll find you. And I'll
kill
you. That one dislike of like, tracking him down. Bing bong. Did you dislike my video? My video? What?
Yeah. And so, it's easy to be like, I'm just apathy and not care, but it does get to us. And I think I just want to clarify that for anyone who's watching this, because social media amplifies that
big time. Yeah. And depending on the type of social media too, it's funny. I found that a big aha, or at least a big transitional moment in my life when it came to very, very much what you're talking about, but not even on social media, just in life in general, being somebody who is a people pleaser. Right. And it was when you give every iota of yourself to somebody, let's say it's somebody you fall in love with or somebody you really care for. You give everything you have thinking that this is it, like this, like I love this person so much, I care for this person so much that you give everything to them. And then it fails and it crashes and it burns and you feel like it's a personal failure. Well, if that failure, I had a moment in my life where I felt I failed so entirely, so apocalyptically that I hit absolute rock bottom emotionally.
Same.
And it was the most difficult period of my life. I went through a period of depression. Absolutely. It was the first time in my life that I truly experienced and could empathize with what it must be like to suffer depression.
Right.
That it's something that happens to you. You don't have control over that.
No,
right? And chemically, I think I hit that heavy low. But in the process of that, I learned something at the same time. It was also probably the greatest learning experience, because by hitting rock bottom, or at least what I felt was rock bottom at the time, I realized I'm still here. Furthermore, I'm still alive. Furthermore, I still have the capacity to be positive.
Shocking.
And I realized that it was when I truly discovered myself and I truly discovered my own personal identity that I can lose. By losing that, I also shattered a very big part of my ego. Ego is a very powerful force, right? Yeah. And it was how I can mark the difference between the older and the newer me. How that created a big kind of rift and transition in my life was, when you're walking down the street, everything's fine, you're in a good mood, and let's say some complete stranger crosses you on the path and goes, that's it. And in your brain, especially if you're visual, artists have a way to like paint out entire scenarios, and you picture in your head, you know the whole, why did he do that? And
the whole 3-act structure.
And you realize you've just walked a 30-minute walk and you're still mulling over that asshole who smirked at you. And they're gone at that point, Right. And what I used to do is I would mull over it because it was personal. Because I thought, why is he attacking me? What did I do? But it's transitioned into, did I do something wrong? Did I objectively do something right or wrong?
Right.
And know yourself. One of my favorite quotes from Matrix is "Know thyself." Right? The Oracle tells that to Neo. Know yourself. And if I look at myself and I say, "Yeah, no, I was mean," or I did something rude, or maybe I was a bit full of myself, then I step up and I say, "Yeah, I'm sorry. I can see where I went wrong and I apologize for that. Or, is everything okay? I ask them,
Right.
how are you doing? And then if they say to me, you're an idiot, you're stupid, which usually isn't the case. People don't usually do stuff like that.
Right.
But if they go, you're an idiot and you're stupid, well, I understand why you might feel that way. And you don't take it personally. You kind of see, okay, they feel that way because there's something going on. And usually it's a way of kind of connecting to somebody else instead of just repelling them and saying, screw you for judging me. Instead, if there's something I did, I'll address it. If it's something I didn't do, then I understand, but I don't take it personally. Right. And I learned to take my ego out of the equation. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm right, I'm right. And when it comes to art, it's the same thing. When it comes to how you compare yourself to other people, it's the same thing. Your ego gets in the way. You judge. There's no reason why you should be judging yourself. You should be celebrating their wonderful gift and taking the attention off of yourself and just investing your energy into showing love for somebody else's great achievement, even if they're 9 and they're destroying you artistically. Wow, you're destroying me artistically. What an incredible achievement that is. And you take it outside of yourself. You abandon your ego in that sense, and I find that's very healing. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and there's just more on the whole people pleasing part, because we're, depending on your upbringing, feeling like other entities are disapproving of you, like the guy walking past you. There might be a part of you that's trying to figure out what you did wrong, and you want to go make sure that they no longer disapprove of you and whatever. And I saw a really good quote by there's an Instagram I follow called The Holistic Psychologist. And she's great. She has like 1 million followers, but and it said that people pleasing is you trying to control other people's opinion of you, and it robs you of your ability to just be yourself, because you're thinking, I have to make sure that person thinks I'm good. Because if they don't think I'm good, that means I'm abandoned and worthless, and childhood issues might come up. But
absolutely,
so it's there's a lot to it, and I think, which, by the way, we talked about this earlier before we started the thing. We're not medical professionals or therapists or psychologists, so don't take anything we say, to heart too much. If you are going through anything difficult or whatever, please find a therapist. There's psychologytoday.com. That's where I found my therapist. You can kind of type in your area code and it'll show you local therapists or throughout the country. And a lot of them have a different sliding scale. So if you can't afford therapy, you just find people with a sliding scale to give what you can afford. So it's really helpful. I recommend it to everybody. I think everybody, whether or not you're perfect emotionally, it's like going to a checkup just to get a professional, to get an idea, get a look at where you are in life, and try to sort that out and help you move forward. So just as a sort of disclaimer. And a real quick hello to, where did he go? Where? Muhammad Agbadi. I think.
Check it out. What's up? We hit 100K at almost the same time. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, his video quality is insane. Like,
yes, I know.
It's amazing. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Hey, that's so cool. I didn't know you were online. That's so cool to see you.
Let me go down.
There he is.
Robbie.
Okay,
let me go down here. Yeah. Anyway, man, we could talk about this stuff all day. Let's see. Speaking of which, because you just mentioned ego, the next bullet point is our ego trying to take the steering wheel, steering you into doing things to feel seen, heard, validated, and I'm the best. And understandable. It's not, people say they'll hear ego and they think it's a bad thing. It can be a bad thing, but I think the ego part of ourselves in the Jungian sense, like Carl Jung and all that stuff, is the survival part of you that's between who you really are and the outside world and how the world perceives you. And so it's understandable if you really want people to like you, or if you have a hard time having friends, and you kind of develop a persona, and it's a result of the ego. But it's a survival strategy, I think, that the brain developed to survive, to not feel abandoned. And usually it's a result of unresolved childhood programming from trauma and stuff. But how this manifests with art, it's like, you might be scrolling Instagram if you're really, in the infinite river,
Mhm.
and you see like a trend of what gets a lot of likes,
Yeah.
and like what's clickbaity and stuff, pretty Pinterest girls, or certain anime fan arts, and there's a part of you that maybe you don't like doing this stuff, but you're thinking, this is just one example. That's what I got to do in order to get likes. I have to put aside my soul, what I want to speak, what I want to feel, because I'm insignificant. I don't have any value. What does have value, clearly, as shown by the likes, is only if I do that. And because of that, in that equation, we devalue our own self-worth. And I think another bullet point is that one of the goals that I want to sort of have for myself and to suggest for everyone is to detach your own self-worth with the work that you do. And let me kind of just explain that, because that's under the category of codependency. What does codependency mean? And how I understand it is how I value myself, how I see myself is dependent on how other people either like me or don't like me. So, and it's a very bad place to be, because if you're, let's say, doing really good art and you put it out there and people really like it, you get this dopamine hit, and it reinforces this idea like, oh, cool. Now my self-worth is high because look, they're liking it. But you put another piece and it doesn't get liked. Suddenly you're like, oh, well, obviously I'm worthless. I have no value. I'm whatever. That's a codependent relationship. It manifests differently between, marriages and relationships.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But
and we know that too.
What's that?
And social media companies know this.
Oh, of course, right.
They play on it very much.
Yeah, they exploit it, which I understand, whatever. So ideally, the goal is to detach your self-worth from your art. And Pascal Campion does a lot of these really cool comics. Have you seen them?
Of course. I'm huge fan of his work,
he's doing a great job in like illustrating these exact concepts. But
really? Okay.
To sort of detach, and once you're detached, explore what your soul actually wants to do on paper. And if it's just scribbles, or if it's really dark imagery, or for me, it's a lot of like dark circus doll kind of stuff. I love that stuff. It's let it be, and don't devalue it because no one else is validating it. Right. So,
that's huge. What you're saying is incredibly huge. And I discovered this. It's not something you're going to learn once. It's something you have to relearn time and time again. I learned this with my career, trying to chase after what employers wanted. Oh, they want 3D. Oh, they want After Effects. Oh, they want somebody who does more Assassin's Creed type of stuff. Oh, they want somebody who does more Lord of the Rings type of stuff. I've said this so many times on my channel. At a certain time, I said, screw this. I am sick and tired of chasing after what other people want. And I had to keep rebranding myself every 2 seconds. I was getting so sick and tired of rebranding my skills. And I said, no, screw this. I'm going to take a chance. And I had to take an actual emotional risk. I felt like I was taking a risk with my career to say, I'm going to do this. This is what I love, and I'm going to get great at it. And if people want me, they'll come and get me. I'm not going to chase after them. I want people to come. I want to create my own ecosystem in that sense.
Absolutely.
And it was the pivot point in my career. The second time was with social media, where like producing videos and stuff like that. And I kept seeing all these videos by Casey Neistat and Peter McKinnon and all these guys that have made really big names for themselves on the platform, making their burnout videos. And you could see at a certain point where they did something really catchy. It really picked up. They got millions of subs and it really picked up. And then at a certain point, they just their passion became their brand. Their brand became their shackle. Right. And I thought to myself, no, I just have to own my own pace. And I'm constantly sitting there kind of letting go. Every time I feel like a strap gets around my neck, I break it off and I say, no, I'm going to keep doing my thing. Oh, you want my videos to be 12 minutes or less? Screw you. I'm going to make them 45 minutes. I don't think in 12 minutes. I'm not that compressed. I'm a chatterbox. And I just had to keep owning my own space. And like you said, it's a codependent relationship. If you find that your worth is completely wrapped around what other people think of you, you're not producing anything of great value, because you're just trying to be a people pleaser, and you're not actually. Remember, here's another thing too. When you get into a relationship, let's say think of your followers, think of your subscribers as a relationship. If you have to give up what they fell in love with in the first place, or if you feel like you need to change who you are to keep the people who fell in love with you in the first place, you're essentially changing yourself. It's like changing halfway through a relationship. They fell in love with you for who you are,
unconditionally,
not what they make you, right? So keep being yourself, because that's why they fell in love with you in the first place, right?
Exactly. And it's like this, in the same way that, you know, if you yourself fall in love with something, or a person, and that person feels like they have to change for you, you're like, no, dude, you're good. You know, it's hard for them to understand that if they have imposter syndrome or things like that, which I definitely suffer from. But going back to what you were saying on, you know, if you're in a codependent space and your insecurities are running the show, you know, as I know very well, you can't do your best work, but also at the same time, don't hate yourself for it. You know, forgive yourself for being in that, and you know, start working up instead of saying, I shouldn't be like this, I should be better, I have to, like, instead, ironically, accepting all of that is what actually moves you forward. You know, and embracing your flaws and saying, yeah, I'm very needy. I'm being very needy right now. I'm codependent. That person didn't like my art. I don't know why. I have to figure out what they like, and I'm going to draw that until they like it. It's like that mindset is not where you want to be. But if you are there, just accept it, even lean into it and just observe it. Like, let it play out, watch it happen, and get yourself in a space where you can kind of analyze it objectively. Like, yeah, maybe I don't really want, like, why do I want to impress that person? Why can't I just do things for myself? And so,
very much like meditation, absolutely. Right? You don't go, focus.
Right.
No, I meditate all the time, and one of the things I listen to is the way she describes it in the meditation that I listen to. She says, picture all these turbulent thoughts as being a river running in front of you, but don't get too close to it. Just observe it from the outside and just watch it go by. But if you step too close, if you get involved, it'll sweep you away, right? So just go, there's my turbulent thoughts, and then you just go back to your nice calm space. It's a gentle process.
And meditation can often, you know, we think of it as a relaxing spa massage meditation, but it's more like being alone with yourself and letting those thoughts, you know, swirl. Going back to that whole river idea where we're hyperstimulated by all this stuff, if you're at home, especially during COVID right now, those thoughts start to swirl like smoke. That's how I visualize it. And they're just kind of swirling around you, and they kind of stay there like a hamster on a wheel in your mind. And I find that when I go for a walk, it's still swirling around me, but on the walk, it's like the smoke is slowly dissipating, and then eventually it's just cleared. I'm like, oh, I could breathe again. So
and you take that breath, right? That's when you go. And I found at a certain point, I was doing that sigh 12 times a minute. I was constantly, that's your body trying to relieve stress.
Right.
So it's a good sign when you let out a good sigh like that. It means you're doing the right thing.
Yeah. We didn't even get to like the halfway point. But we could. It's still very crazy that we're talking. You know, I really admire your work, and I definitely look up to you. As
said this before, we actually got on the stream where I was telling Ahmed, I said, you don't understand, Ahmed. You're a household name. I refer all my students to him, and I know him. You know, I've been following him for years, so I know him. And then I saw him, and I was like, hey, yeah, what's up? A very casual kind of what's up. I'm like, wait a minute, no, this is our first time actually talking to each other. It's kind of this weird experience, but
but it feels the same way. It's like I've known you for a long time, and it's like when we finally actually exchanged words, it's like it was just a continuation of the conversations that we were already having in our heads. But I definitely, it is surreal because I definitely look up to you as like a mentor with all this. That's weird to hear, but just a real quick shout out to Laser Boy Hollow. Hey man, glad you're here. I really appreciate you making these holograms of my logo. They look amazing.
I love that logo. Come to think of it, that's an awesome logo. Jeez.
We could take a break from the bullet points and maybe open it up for some Q&A. So if you want to ask questions now, and anyone who asks the question about brushes, you will be immediately banned. because it's gonna happen. Hey man,
Controversial. I learned. I did a stream with my friend Antonio the other day, and I mentioned the name, which I won't mention here, of a mediocre, possibly a little bit controversial guy, and the live stream got completely cut off immediately. I was like, wow. So
yeah.
I consider me muzzled as far as that goes.
Okay, let's see.
Question.
Mods, can you remove this guy? We don't.
Smart ass. Yeah.
But I do use Mono. They're great.
Nice. I use this, by the way, in case anybody's interested. I use the back of my.
Oh, that's forever.
Yeah.
How do you deal with depression and anxiety as an artist? Once this video goes live, go back and rewatch it.
Yeah,
we talked about all. But just as a, I think taking the time to disconnect from social media is a big one. Finding therapy, writing and journaling a lot helps me process my emotions, and I try to be honest with myself when I'm writing. It's like, who am I upset with? Who am I jealous of? Who is, basically like letting all those thoughts on paper so I can look at it as an adult objectively.
Yeah. I'll add to that as far as writing is concerned. Writing is a big deal for me, particularly when I'm going through heavy stuff and I'm feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah.
To be as candid, as vicious as you want to be. Like, don't hold back and try. I don't want to offend or hurt anybody's feelings. Don't take anything you say. Don't take yourself too seriously, and just purge in writing. And you're never going to read it again. I filled journals and journals with stuff when I've been through rough times and stuff like that. It's very therapeutic, and it also. The power of writing is that, of course, I'm not offering you professional advice.
Right.
I'm not a psychologist, right? But it's just from a personal dealing with my own stuff type of thing. Remember that we're artists, we're visual. So by writing, when you have thoughts in your head, they're just floating around like Ahmed said, like the spirits. Kind of like when he said that, it made me think, because I'm playing Final Fantasy now, it makes me think of the spirits in Final Fantasy. But it's kind of like that. You have that jumble of thoughts that don't go anywhere. But the moment you take it and you paste it on a page and you see it, it allows you to turn the page. It allows you to take it out of your brain, put it on paper, and flip the page and get it out of there, in a sense. Exactly. And dig as deep as you need to go. It's a very powerful thing to do, for sure. But you might need to take breaks. You can even start hyperventilating at certain points if you can hit on pretty sensitive topics at certain points. So yeah.
And two more things to add to that. And as Adam covered earlier, fitness, just try to find some kind of routine where you're doing something physical with your body, whether it's Beat Saber or dance. See, I got a Dance Dance Revolution pad, or go for a walk. Yeah, it's I got my where is it? You're actually serious. Holy shit. Look at this. Wait. Well, look at my logo on it. It's custom made. Fancy pants over here. Or go for a walk, or just have a routine of getting the endorphins and dopamine. And going back to the writing thing is, be vicious. Like if you're actually angry about something or someone, it's called kind of digging into your shadow. Like if you really want to say evil, mean, angry things, let that out on paper. No one's going to see it, but get it out of your system, just so that it has a cathartic release. The other thing too is, very often emotional stress is physical stress. When my son, he's 7 years old, sometimes he gets really emotional and upset and he's all stressed and he's crying. It's just because he's been sitting on his ass for the last 3 hours. You know what I mean? And as soon as you get up, you splash in the pool, or you take a walk, or you run, we chase after each other and play tag or something like that. 10 minutes later, he's perfectly fine. Right. It's physical. Stress can be physical as well. Absolutely. Hawk Frost. And by the way, Ashlyn, I love your icon design. Yeah, it's cute. Lovely. Love the colors too. Is that Kirby? I think it is Kirby. Oh shit, my son's gonna. Honto kawaii desu. All right, Hawk Frost Archer. Are you planning on doing an art course in the future? Yes, I am. I'm actually building some courses right now, and I will be talking more about that and announcing them as I go. It'll be definitely a learning process because there's a lot to the business side of things. But Adam, I believe, has a mentorship that he offers. That if you want to talk about that real quick. Sure, absolutely. Well, I just want to say it out there. When you get your course online, I just want to get dibs on that. You do not have to pay. I'm paying. But no, I would never take advantage of that. But I definitely have. I have a mentorship. I've been doing it since 2015.
in 2015. Yeah, it's going strong. It's private. It's a private one-on-one mentorship.
And how often do you meet with the student? Is it once a week? For how many hours?
2 hours every week. It's 8 weeks worth of sessions and stuff like that. They get access to the learning material right away, so they have as long as they need until the time that we start. And then when we get together, we go over all the material that they've done through the assignment, because everything's in video format.
Right.
And it's pre-recorded video format, and then we go over it together, and then we expand. There's a lot of learning during the private lessons, during the private sessions as well, and that's the basic structure. It's not.
That's very cool. That's awesome. Yeah. People have asked me if I offer mentorships. I've done them before, and I've even done them in person. I'm holding off right now. I might do it in the future.
It's a commitment. Absolutely. This is my full-time job now. Yeah.
Right. Ideally for me, it's I want to make content that is just out there, and I don't have to kind of hold anyone's hand, if you know. So anyway, so moving on. It's bedtime for me, so will it be saved? Yes, this will be saved on my channel, so you can always review it. How long is the waiting list for your mentorship?
Currently, I'm signing up students. I think my earliest spots are 2024, early 2024.
Okay.
Yeah. How did you get access to the material right away, so you're not waiting that whole time to learn stuff? Yeah.
There's a lot of questions, so I'm going to try to.
Oh, William! Hey, this is my homeboy here. Yeah.
How to deal with happiness as motivation to draw when you most productive self were always when you were sad. I don't really understand that last part, but
to deal with happiness as motivation to draw. Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's everything we talked about, to find a place where art is, I guess, happy for you, maybe. And I think if there are all the factors in your life that are in the equation of your existence, good sleep, good nutrition, fitness, you're not letting too much toxicity into your mind, stay off of Twitter. I think, finding things that really inspire you. The other day, what really got me in a happy mood and creative and all this stuff is I just pulled up music that I used to listen to when I was 12, 13, 14, middle school. And I just got in the zone, and I felt great. I no clue what that is, but
I'm old. I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm thinking Metallica, Linkin Park, and
very nice. Yeah.
And Tool. So I don't know if you want to add to that for William.
That's a good, it's funny because I have a pending art talk that covers that exact topic. And when my channel comes back, of course. And it was actually inspired by somebody I love. His name is Simon Sinek. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's actually done TED Talks and stuff like that. And he's got a channel online. He talks about the difference between motivation and inspiration. Motivation is not a way to get yourself to do stuff. And I listened. The reason I did an art talk was basically to mirror what he had said. But you can motivate yourself in a million different ways. I can motivate you to draw by telling you if you don't draw, I'll shoot you in the head. Right? That'll motivate you. And motivation is fleeting. It's temporary. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Some people get motivated by fear. Some people get motivated by deadlines. Some people get motivated by lots of different things. It's not necessarily a reliable source of long-term productivity, but inspiration is. And so for me, I don't try to motivate myself and say, okay, come on, go to the gym today, go to work out today, or come on, paint today. I don't do it that way. I instead, just like Ahmed had said, I put myself into an environment that stimulates me, that inspires me. And that'll motivate me on my own. Like things that motivate me, looking at documentaries that I can't understand in Polish with Beksiński, just having that playing in the background, listening to him say things I don't understand, but seeing his slow, thoughtful process. Or listening to Vadavidya, the YouTuber who does a lot of Dark Souls lore and stuff like that. I listen to him all the time because, again, he's meditative and he kind of pulls me into a good vibe. It inspires me. So if I try to motivate myself, I fail. It's really about inspiring, and the inspiration will motivate you right there. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I don't try to be happy. If happiness isn't necessarily inspiring. I mean, my art is not happy. My art is I do dark stuff because I find that dark subjects are very thoughtful. visually rich. They're very calming. They're very creative. They're very narrative based. Like that kind of stuff really gets my visual mind going. So I'm not sitting there going, time to draw. You know, not everybody not everybody can find inspiration in happy thoughts. I find inspiration in deep thoughts in that regard.
Right.
My artwork is a reflection of that, for sure.
I think artwork and creativity, at least for the deep end of things, it's like you're letting yourself, all of what you are, your mind, body, soul, whatever, get in a space where you're experiencing something. And art is when you're taking that experience and rearranging it in line, form, paint, value, music, gardening, whatever it is. So it's not always happy, right? There's so many heckin' questions.
I've got a visitor here. Lucas? No, Lucas.
Hey, Lucas.
Lucas, look, you want to see something? Watch. Oh! See, last time Lucas came in, he's pissed off because I'm not letting him use the switch. Lucas, I'm on the left. It's okay. Okay, you want me to hand you the switch? Okay, but you have to apologize for interrupting our live podcast. Say, I'm sorry for interrupting a live podcast.
I'm sorry for interrupting you.
You can wave at everybody.
Yes, everybody.
God sees this child. Wow.
Are so awesome and embarrassing. I always get blamed too. Here, I'll have you switch.
Hey, buddy.
There you go, Pumpkin. There you go.
Seriously.
Yeah, his belches, he'll belch in a restaurant and everybody looks at me like, oh my God. You know, because it doesn't sound like a 7-year-old belch. It's like he's got gusto and girth to it. You know?
Wow,
so
impressive.
He's got a live Lucas belch.
All right. So just going to kind of go through these as quick as I can. Noura asks, hey, Ahmed, do I need to go to art school to be an illustrator? No. Let's see.
Not today, no. There's way too many resources online. Yeah.
How do you feel when someone compares your work with another artist? I say thank you.
In a good way.
Like if they're saying, oh, this person's art looks like they're copying that art. Like, so what?
Yeah.
Like, that's toxic, I think. I would say just go away from places that do that. And usually it's people trying to bring you down. And, you know, I've copied a lot of artists in my time. Comic books, concept art. It's like that's how I studied. That's how all professional artists get there.
Absolutely.
They're standing on the shoulders of giants of others. So it's okay if you have a look or a style or a theme like another artist. And if people try to tear you down for that, like, why are they wasting their time doing that to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I
just like to be dicks.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to skip a lot of these. Like,
I'm from originally from NDG. That was I grew up in NDG originally.
NDG, what?
My neighborhood. He was at question by Julien. Julien Théo Simon. Definitely.
Oh, I can't stand that guy. So I don't know who let him. I'm kidding. He's actually I hosted him for a bit for a mentorship here. Great kid. He's over at Sin Studio doing amazing work.
Very cool. I'm not in Montreal. I actually live off the island now, but I grew up in NDG's. That's my barrio, you know.
Barrio. Med, when is the leg anatomy course coming, and how expensive? I'm gonna ignore that question. I've done anatomy videos on everything but the legs, and so I didn't do leg day for my. Any advice for someone trying to get into the industry but lives in a country with no gaming or film, or even art industries and communities? You got to connect with people online. I mean, you being here is a great start. Try to find, by the way, great name, Ahmed. Try to find Discord communities, projects, challenges, group challenges. There's also things called game jams. You could find groups of people who want to make a game and you have a week to do it. So just try to find activities like that, where you can connect with other people, other artists, other companies.
Yeah, and don't forget, like if I go back in the day when it would be before the internet, unless you were relocating, there was no way to find work. Local, which was a big crutch, right? But now that's not really the issue anymore. Companies have really warmed up to people working remotely, and COVID's actually, I hate to say it, it's actually helping.
Good for us.
My girlfriend now works from home. She works in PR, and her boss said, you can keep working from home forever if you want to. It's like, damn, she doesn't have to travel downtown anymore, right? So that's awesome. Yeah. So
Yeah,
you find stuff online. LinkedIn is great for that kind of stuff too, for making connections for sure.
Yeah, this COVID thing was not a change for me at all. Yeah, it's like
Life is usual. There's my studio.
A previous student of mine back in the day.
I can't tell by her great art here. Yeah.
She took my character design class. Any advice for starting an art channel? I really want to and have a hard time thinking of video ideas that will be well received. What I would say is wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whatever skill level you're at, just document that process. Speak about what your thoughts are on whatever it is that you're doing. Best way to start. Good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's it. And I would say the biggest piece of advice is don't be a YouTuber.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm sick of you. No, I'm not saying that ironically. I mean that. Like, yo, what's up, man? It's Adam D from Lucid Pixel. Yo, and I'm doing some crazy. No, if that's not who you are, don't do that. And because it turns like another one of these YouTubers. No, be yourself. Absolutely. The more you are yourself, real professionals know the art of just being themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see somebody who has a cool personality, but they're getting a lot of attention, it's because they're just cool people in real life. It's not because they're acting cool. People have very good bullshit detectors as far as that goes. But just looking at your thumbnail and just looking at the quality of your art, be yourself and do your thing. And trust me, with your skills, you're going to be very popular very fast. That's my thoughts.
You could name drop both of us.
Oh yeah. I got you back.
Hatstar, it feels like my days kind of waste away without me achieving anything that I want to get done. Should I be harder on myself to actually start? No. I think if you feel like you've wasted the day, you had this list of things that you think you're supposed to have done. Mm-hmm. I think the best place to actually move forward is to forgive yourself for wasting the day and not be hard on yourself. I think being in the mindset of, yeah, I didn't do much yesterday and I didn't do anything. In fact, I ate a bunch of junk food. I played games all day, watched YouTube, and I did nothing. I'm such a horrible failure. That mindset doesn't work. Instead, say, yeah, that day happened. I ate chips and whatnot. I wasted the day. But today, I'm going to try to take at least one tiny step forward. And even if I only spend 20 minutes doing a drawing or a study, that's still better than yesterday.
Yep.
The next day, build on that. But the key in that whole equation that you have to deal with is letting yourself forgive yourself. That doesn't mean let yourself, go loose and just be wasting time, all the time. Try to keep in mind that I want to become more disciplined, but I can't hate myself to do it. That might actually work for people like David Goggins. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He was on the Joe Rogan podcast. He was a Navy SEAL, and his mindset is like he's at war with his own mind, and he constantly forces himself to do several mile runs when he doesn't feel like it. What Navy SEALs might do, right? But my mindset's different. It's like, no, I got to come from a place of forgiveness and empathy. I can't just call myself a horrible loser. That doesn't motivate me at all.
Mm-hmm. No, me neither. It exhausts me. I just get exhausted. Yeah. One of the best, simplest pieces of advice I ever got from a friend of mine was have compassion for yourself. Don't. Besides, how productive can somebody be when you have somebody bashing you off the head, telling you you're an idiot? Well, you do it to yourself all the time, right?
Yeah.
You expect yourself to be productive while you yourself are insulting yourself. No, and there's another one too. Maybe you spent a couple of weeks playing Final Fantasy VII, and you feel like you've wasted your life. Well, a quote that helps me to get through the stress of that thought is, I can't remember who the quote it's from, but it's time that you enjoy wasting is not wasted time.
Yeah.
Right. So there you go.
Right. Unless it's like you're on drugs or never mind.
Good point.
Like if you're doing cocaine, that's probably really enjoyable, but
probably not.
I've never done drugs. I've been curious about some.
I don't think this.
Moving on. By the way, I haven't even scrolled halfway. If you're asking new questions right now, I'm probably not going to get to it. I'm sorry, but I'll try. This is a good question. From D. Lauda, how do you step out of your comfort zone when it feels so intimidating? And that's, I think, step by step. Even trying to look at it objectively. And, let's say drawing perspective is the thing that's intimidating. Like just try to look at it, see what tutorials are out there about it. Like just look at all the parts. So there's a really good book called Bird by Bird. And the author talks about this concept of taking on huge endeavors. And, she's gone on to be a very successful person. And she relates the story about when she was a child, her brother and her were on this summer vacation, but her brother had this huge assignment he had to do about birds, this big biology project or something. And he put it off to last minute. And it was such a daunting thing. He had a breakdown or something, and he didn't feel like he could do it. Their father sat him down and said, no, look, there's a lot of birds to cover here, but if we just cover it bird by bird, we'll get through it. Just one little step at a time. Yep. So for perspective, it might be just learn 1 point perspective. How do you draw a line to a vanishing point? Or if it's shading, how does light work? What's the core shadow? Just the basics, just very basic introductory. Costume design, like, okay, well, where can I start with that? Well, how do you draw just somebody wearing a shirt? How do you put some embroidery on that? Or what's the theme? Like maybe I could just put one thing at a time. If you have anything to add to that.
No, it's just, something that kind of helps me understand that you as a not you, like us as a biological organisms, is the fact that growth and evolution is slow. If you watch a David Attenborough documentary, if you actually watch a piece of ivy, it's just standing there like this, right? But if you watch it in time lapse, it's actually doing this, trying to grab a branch. It's actually, the plants actually have an intelligence. It's, when you look at your life, you look at it day by day, it feels like you're not moving, you're not growing. But just like Ahmed had said, if you're making any little growth, think of that over a period of time. Take a tiny little seed and let it grow and watch it over a period of time, and you will see that evolution. And when you look back, it's funny, I don't know if you ever experienced this. I'll look back at drawings I did 2 weeks ago that I was super proud of, and I'm like, oh God, I would be embarrassed to show that in public. You don't realize you're growing, but you're growing faster than you think. So you might feel like you're not getting growth, when in fact you are, so long as you're making any kind of gesture in a direction. That's it. It's really just a shift in perspective, really. Right.
I believe you were chatting with this person earlier about dance. If you want to take this one.
I think so. Yeah, Magdalena. Okay. Can you basically what you asked before broadcasting? What side activities spark creativity and playfulness around art? I thought it said Dr. Duff. I was like, whoa. Mentioned physical stuff. Okay, well, Dr. Duff is a very big part. I think that's a very important part of artistry in general. One of my favorite quotes is from the film The Last Samurai, when Tom Cruise is watching the samurai, and he mentions how everything in their life ties into the art of war, which is essentially that art. Their core is fighting. But agriculture and love and architecture, all these different things, religion, they all tie into that core. Art is my core, but I need everything around me to feed into it. And I'm constantly, as an artist, being, in most cases, receptive. How photography, videography, sound editing, skateboarding, salsa dancing, swing dancing, any of these different things, any of these different side passions, documentaries that have objectively nothing directly related to art, all feed my art. And it kind of expands my brain. And I think of what inspires my creative process is well summarized in a quote by not Billy Idol, the guy who played the Goblin King in Labyrinth, David Bowie. There you go. He was interviewed after he passed away, or at least it was an interview before he had passed away, but they were showing a lot of his interviews, and somebody said, do you ever steal anybody's work? And he goes, yeah, of course, all the time.
Of course.
She goes, ooh, big scoop. David Bowie, the fraud, right? And he says, yeah, I steal from country music and rock and roll and hip hop, and I steal from gardening and frame making and curtain cutting. And then as an artist, what you're doing is you're creating all these mental synapses between different things. The creative process is not going, there we go, idea. That came across wrong. You're not, well, some people get great ideas on the toilet, but but what you're doing is you're kind of making these strange random connections between different random things in your life, and you fuse it together. The creative mind creates connections. That's really what it is. And then, as he described, you add this little David Bowie magic. You sprinkle a little David Bowie magic, and that's that final little signature in the end that makes it your own, right? So I heavily advocate for diversifying your life and not just doing art every day, because I actually find it limits you. Most of what I teach and most of what I apply towards my artistry, I learn from things that have nothing to do with picking up a paintbrush. So yeah, I'm a very strong advocate for that. Dance is a big one too, for sure.
I want to learn to dance someday.
That's
DDR is just hitting buttons. Speaking of British, by the way, your David Bowie accent was beautiful.
Oh, really? I haven't. It's not a trained accent, so yeah.
If trying to build social media, would you treat it more of a sketchbook where you post everything you do, or would you only post finished things, especially social media to get a job? I honestly just would suggest look at what artists you really like and you follow. What do you like about their work and their feed? It's like, I love sketches. I love process images. I love little scribbles, especially by like Jaw Cooper or Eliza or Claire Wendling. It's like there's so much energy there, and that energy kind of draws me in. I like finished work here and there, but that's to like build social media. However, for job stuff, I think showing both, like if I was to hire somebody, I'd want to see their sketching process and how they come up with ideas and make decisions and see where their creative minds take the idea or the concept. And then the finish is the execution. Like, there's some concept artists who don't have finished work that are super highly detailed and rendered because it's just about the idea. Mm-hmm. So, but it might be illustration that you're going for. So either way, professionally, I think showing your whole range, social media, whatever you want.
Yeah, absolutely. I've nothing to add. I think you're pretty much on the head. Yeah.
I can barely. Let's see what this one is. Helder Vinicius. Elder, maybe. Interesting name. Question: How to keep studying art without being too focused in making good art and instead focusing in the study? Mm-hmm. I would say, what I usually say is, if you're in the study phase, if you're just trying to get better, trying to understand, measuring or drawing perspective or figures or faces or hands, your first, I guess, 20% of your learning process, let's say you start here and then here is where you understand the thing. The first 20% is going to be bad. Mm-hmm. You could just say like, okay, I'm going to jump into this. I will embrace the fact that it will be awful and gross and disgusting and it's going to be a swamp. But I know that if I just get through it every day, I'll start to see glimpses of it looking like good art. But even if you don't, it doesn't matter. The fact that you're putting action across time is what will get you there. Mm-hmm. There's a really interesting chart that shows what progress looks like. And it's actually a linear graph, somewhat linear. But what it feels like is like, oh, I'm learning. Oh, I'm actually really, really bad. I'm not learning anything. Oh, I'm learning. I'm not.
True, yeah.
But the overall average is you're still going up.
Yeah.
In learning. So.
Yeah, I would add ego has a lot to do with that. I learned a lot from my sister. I call her younger sister, although she's like a year and a half younger than me. But I remember the progression of her career as a singer when she was singing and stuff like that. When she first started singing, she was stiff as a board and she was constantly focusing on just singing. So she just kind of stand there, and she was really worried about looking stupid. So she was just she's tall too. She's kind of propping herself behind this mic stand, and the only thing that would move was her finger. And a couple of years later on, one of her friends, or it was a couple of months later, one of her friends had grabbed the mic stand away from her, so she had to let go and stop hiding behind the mic stand. And her shoulders dropped, her posture dropped. She became grounded, and it was the first step towards her becoming a professional because it taught her to stop performing. She stopped performing and she started to sing. And when it comes to art, the one of the difficult challenges we have in art is overcoming our ego, because our ego wants to look good. Our ego wants to sound good. Our ego wants our art to sparkle, right? And we think we can jump straight into color dodge time, and we want the color dodge to make it work for us. No. When you feel like you're kind of getting lost and you don't know where to go, always, that's why a lot of professionals, and Ahmed is a perfect advocate for this on his channel, is the fundamentals. The fundamentals take your ego out of the equation and say, focus on that. This is what really matters. Making it look pretty, that'll happen on its own if you focus on the fundamentals, but you got to let go of your ego first. So the more you're focusing on making pretty art, the harder it's going to be to make pretty art. The prettiness comes as a result of having strong fundamentals, for sure.
Some comments for you.
Oh, Emerson, hey, what's up? Thank you very much. You're an awesome student too. Oh, there you go. William as well. Yes, very cool. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Let me just keep going down. Oh, God, I can't.
William Andrade Conrado. There you go. Come on. Hey,
where's he from? That's a great pronunciation.
Yeah.
Oh wait, did I reach the bottom? I did. Oh, did it skip? Let's see.
What do we got? Yeah, there's so many questions here. It's crazy.
Where did I think
thank God you're watching the comments, because I'm so overwhelmed. I'm just getting tunnel vision here. Okay. There we go. Oh, okay. I actually got right where you okay.
They won't get to this question. Here we are. But I wonder how people manage a full-time, I'm going to say job with full-time work with an art practice. I'm trying, but wow, it's hard. Yeah. Someone asked me this recently, because, they're working a full-time job and they want to pursue art, but, they just get home and they're exhausted. They're super tired. They have, kids to pick up from daycare and school and whatnot. Something that I suggested is that find a way to expedite the process after work, where you're just getting to bed as soon as possible and just waking up way earlier before everything starts. So you have at least like maybe an hour or 30 minutes where you're studying something. That's the only thing I could think of. I'm not in that, I've never been in that situation, so I don't know. But if you have anything to add to that.
I would actually mention something that Bobby Chu had said. If you are working full time, I don't know if the job you have is artistic or not, but if you're getting a lot of practice, if you're doing an art job that you like, but you're not going to be producing, you're going to be growing, but you're not going to be producing anything of great value if you're doing an art job that you don't like. So if you're working, I would advocate more for a non-artistic job. So when you do get home, you still have creative energy. But if you have a crappy art job, then it's consuming your artistic drive. By the time you get home, you just don't feel like it anymore. But again, to add to what Ahmed had said as well, is you don't need to be painting 6 hours a day. A little bit every day is perfectly fine. If that's what you can afford, that's what you can afford. As long as you're keeping yourself healthy, you're not sleep deprived, you're eating healthy, you're getting exercise, you're working, and you have maybe an hour, maybe two, if you can afford a couple of hours a day. That's all you need. You don't need to do everything to twilight hour to see growth. As long as you're constant, that's what matters, for sure. Yeah.
It turns out it did for some reason skip like a whole bunch of questions, and I scrolled.
Okay.
I'm just kind of scrolling my way back up.
I like
Jairo says, I finished an art school course that was more or less useless. I started progressing now, but when I don't really feel those 3 wasted years, how do I get over it? Well, I mean, there's nothing you could do about it now. You can't go in the past, like just accept it for what it was and move on. And cut your losses and go forward. You could feel bad about it, but I think objectively, if you take a step back and say, well, that happened. I've been in that situation. For people who know my story, I went to computer science engineering technology school at the University of Toledo first, and that was a miserable, depressing waste of time and money. Then I went to a community college for like life drawing, and then I went to CCAD for illustration foundations. But those could fall under that category where I didn't feel like it was helping me at all. It wasn't until I eventually went to Art Center that I felt like I was getting what I was looking for, which by the way, you can find online now. You don't need to go to Art Center. But I've been there. So it just happens. Just have faith that if you just keep going and you keep getting better, that you'll be in a place where, yeah, it happened in the past. I don't have to worry about it too much.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to add, I would say, you remember, you're not only a product of the things that went well in your life, you're also a product of the things that don't, right? So even a negative experience is also a lesson. And a lot of who I am today is a result of not wanting to be the crappy person or organization or business that I had to endure for years. It made me a better person. So don't regret your life. If you've sucked for a couple of years, so be it. It's a lesson. So don't worry about it.
Lalo Acosta. Is it okay for me to use always reference when trying to draw something? How often do you guys use reference? All the time.
Yeah.
Norman Rockwell, J.C. Leyendecker, Drew Struzan, John Singer Sargent. They're looking at things and interpreting them as artists. Norman Rockwell traced all of his paintings. So did Drew Struzan.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He would arrange them and then he projected them onto a canvas and you would just trace it.
I didn't know that. Interesting. And I teach his stuff all the time. I had no idea. Yeah.
It's a really good book that shows the photos that he has and then them being projected and him tracing it. I don't think absolutely all of them were, but like he was in a very quick pipeline production for production. So it's like, that was
covers and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It was his fastest way of doing it. So
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Reference is fine.
Absolutely.
And it's like, if you're you're in this world and you get put into a box, like we talked about earlier, as a creative person, you'll start drawing on the walls or something. But if you have no external input of information of like maybe how a hand looks or like an interaction, a narrative thing playing out, it's hard for you to just make stuff up. You could, however, there's a whole universe out there, and ideally you get your ego out of the way and your own self out of the way so that the universe informs you with inspiration. Literally, that's kind of what it means to breathe into you things, and those sprout out into ideas, and those ideas become other ideas. So there's no shame in using reference. I got to make a video about this because there's this idea that, well, Kim Jong-gi, he doesn't use reference. He used reference for 40 years. Where do you think all that stuff comes from? Like you have to study something. It's not like you get to fourth grade and you're expected to write the alphabet without ever studying it first. Exactly. You could write a full sentence without referencing an alphabet because you put it into your mental library and you practiced it. Same thing with art. So
yeah, and in fact, just to quote John Howe, the lead concept artist and art director for Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, one of the original Tolkien artists, him and Alan Lee, right? There's a documentary you can see online. I don't know if it's on YouTube, but I know it's on Vimeo. That it's called There and Back Again. It's a documentary about John Howe himself, and he goes everywhere with a camera around his neck. He does live in Switzerland, so he's got some nice landscape to enjoy.
Lucky.
But his quote in one of his presentations was, if you don't use reference, what you paint will never ring true. Because it's almost foolish to think that you can capture the complexity and the beauty and the depth of real life in your memory, right? And there's so much complexity and uniqueness to nature that you need to reference it. And that's where ideas come from, right? So absolutely.
And just one more thing about that. There's some people who have this thing called aphantasia where they can't imagine anything. Like, if someone told me to close my eyes and imagine an apple with lighting and a reflection, some whatever, I can visualize it and look at it from whatever angle. I could change the color of the apple. Some people just don't have the ability to close their eyes and envision anything. And and there's still amazing artists who have that, but we could call it a problem, but rather it's just the cards are dealt with. You could still be creative. You could still be an artist. You could still do amazing things. Like I said earlier, you don't have to be the absolute best at everything. Kim Jong-gi does that thing. That doesn't invalidate whatever it is that you can do.
No, of course not. Yeah. It's his shtick. That's his sales pitch, right? He can do all that crazy stuff. So yeah.
God, there's so many uwus. Avo. Okay, the uwu crew. Find some more questions and then wrap this up.
Yeah.
Med's sketching process looks mad ugly though. Billy Bob.
Well, thank you for your honesty, sir.
Yeah. I am most creative in the shower.
Well, then you got to get waterproof paper. That's what. Or
Yeah.
don't bring your Cintiq into the shower. Just don't be stupid.
There's actually waterproof paper and pencil that's made just for that. And I think we're the most. I'm the same way. We're the most creative in the shower and like places where we feel safe.
Yeah.
And meditative, and like literally water is making your muscles relax. Melatonin's being secreted. There's a lot of factors into it.
Yeah.
There was an interview with James Maynard Keenan from Tool, the lead singer of Tool, Pussifer, and A Perfect Circle, one of my favorite artists.
Yeah.
He, in the interview, they asked him, where do you come up with these ideas, these lyrics, these themes, these landscapes that you sing about? And he said, "Oh, I just take long, hot showers, and I let myself go in that place and feel it out, and I let that become the music." And so, that's my answer to that.
Yeah.
Let's take one more question and then.
Artwad, what's up?
Where?
That's Antonio.
Oh, hello.
Oh, Artwad, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard about the Artwad program thing. Has the BTS mail? What is that picture? Has the idea of losing the passion for art ever crossed your mind? If so, what was your answer to it? I think I was jaded for a very long time, up until recently, about art, because I tied it so much to my self-worth and I was very insecure. So I used art as a compensation, like in the sense that it's what I offered to the world so that the world would tell me I'm valuable. That was the codependence that I was talking about earlier. And that made me lose the passion for it because it became a chore. That's actually also why I quit Patreon. I have a video explaining that coming up. But at this point, I don't know. I don't think I would actually lose the passion that I have now. It's like, it's just, if you have a curious nature, and humans have this curious nature, I want to know what a world looks like that doesn't exist. And I want to build it from the ground up, and I want to draw the characters and the bad guys, the good guys, the neutral, like, what does the gravity feel like on this planet? Like, I'm just curious, and I love fantasy and science fiction. And I think because of that, I don't think I'll lose that passion.
I'd say for me, I go through periods where I don't feel like drawing sometimes. Sometimes I just feel like doing other stuff, or I've got other stuff that's grabbing my attention. I don't beat myself up about being a production workhorse 24 hours a day, but I do try to stay consistent. And I think that my YouTube channel actually helps me with that. It gives me incentive to produce, and it gives me incentive to push myself. When I start to feel like it becomes a chore, which it does sometimes, it can feel like a bit of a chore to keep being productive. I've learned that that's usually the result of the fact that I'm doing too much of the same stuff. You need to learn. You need to learn new stuff. You need to feel like you're achieving something you haven't learned before. It's like trying to beat the same video game over and over again. Eventually you get tired of doing it, right? So for me, if I do feel like I'm kind of hitting a bit of a drawing time, then I immediately go online and I try to expose myself to a new lesson. Even if it only has to be a tiny little seed. And I get that excitement of going, I'm doing something new. And it's the cool thing about art is there's so many different factors that go into producing. We take for granted the complexity of a creative thought and creation. There's so much of us that goes into it, that when you learn one tiny little seed of something new, it has a trickle down effect into everything else you've ever done. Exactly. And that's exhilarating. You don't have to transform yourself all the time. Just add that little nuance that you never did before, and it has ripple effects across everything. And that will recharge your inspiration. Really big deal. Yeah, for sure.
It's much like that ripple effect you're talking about. It's like a kaleidoscope of things just blossoming and blooming into unexpected things. And
you're literally describing the creative process, aren't you? You just painted a picture of the creative process. It's an expansion. Yeah, for sure.
Ronel Kengaida, do you need an art degree to find work in the art industry? No.
Nope. The first and only time I was ever asked to show my art degree was when I started working as a teacher.
Yeah.
And you know what difference it made? It made the difference of $1,500 a year in my salary. Apart from that, I've never been asked for my degree. They only look at your portfolio and check out your personality. That's what gets you jobs. Yeah.
If you have an amazing portfolio and you show that you have a lot of value to bring to the table,
yeah,
they're not going to be like, oh, this is amazing. Oh, and you're a really great person. Your personality is great. I love your designs. Wait a second. Do you not have a degree? Oh, sorry, sir. Sorry, ma'am.
Get out.
God, seize this woman.
Fetch the dogs. We have a fraud here. Yeah. No.
That doesn't happen. If your work's good, if your personality is great, have great work, be great to work with.
Yeah, exactly.
What if I don't want to? Asks, I want to start making comics, but panels seem so baffling. Are panels as important in storytelling as people make them to be? There's a really great book that I will suggest that was suggested by me to me by William McLaughlin, a friend I met in Scotland when I was in Glasgow. I love Scotland. I can't wait to go back. What was it? Give me a second here. You want to answer that while I...
Well, for me, I can't speak for comic. I had the conceit of thinking once that I could do comic book art coming from an animation background. And some guy, he hired me for the small studio to work on comic book art. And I was about 6 hours in at the studio and I said, I quit. And he goes, what's wrong? And he goes, I can't do comic book art. I took it for granted. I thought just because I could draw cartoons, I could do comics. No, it's an entirely different ecosystem of art. So I'm just pulling out of that question altogether. I'm going to make myself look stupid.
It is Scott McCloud. Okay. And he has the book itself is a comic on how to make comics. And it starts very simple. The idea is that you just have to tell a story sequentially, however that might play out. If it's simple squares, it could be circles, it could be rectangles. As long as you get in the process of starting at one place or starting at the end and working backwards, as long as there's a sequence, you're telling a story, that's all it is. Then you can get into more complex things like what Greg Tocchini does in his comic Low, written by Rick Remender. Very beautiful, flowy panels. All the art seems to line up with the text and everything. So, but start with just sequential storytelling. Well, I think we'll take one more and then call it. It's almost 2 hours. This has been really fun, by the way.
Yeah, I would do this again. Absolutely. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind doing this again, even if it's like weekly or something like that. That'd be great. I'm in my late 20s and my art nowhere near as good as the pros. Is there still time for me to improve and hopefully land a job as a professional artist?
No, sorry. Yeah, you're not. You haven't hit the big leagues. No, Ahmed. No, she's. Yeah. All right. Yeah, it's too late. Next. 20 years old. Give me a break.
Not too late. It's never too late. It's like it depends on where you are in life in terms of how much time you can put into it. But if you work really hard at it and you're starting to see progress, you can eventually get there. And going back to the scenario where an art director might be looking at a portfolio and seeing the personality, they also aren't going to be like, well, you're 28. Sorry, buddy. Or you're 36. Like it again doesn't matter. Like I think it's what you bring to the table. Do you bring to the table beautiful artwork that can really impact a project? And are you fun to collaborate with? Is there potential there? If so, then keep going. But yeah, I don't think it's ever too late.
No, I'm 44 now, and I've had a YouTube channel for 9 years. I did until the tragedy.
Yeah.
But I digress. I'm kidding. I just like to milk it. But ask yourself the question: what was I doing 10 years ago? Can anybody on this channel? Can anybody know what was I doing 10 years ago? I don't even know what I was doing 10 years ago. Okay. A lot of people, it's very well known that a lot of people don't even hit their stride until they're in their late 30s, early 40s. Like Da Vinci, You look at Da Vinci, he was doing sketches of public lynchings just to make ends meet. He couldn't hold down a job. He kept getting sacked because he put too much time behind his work and people didn't want to pay him. J.K. Rowling, nobody knew who she was until she started, until the big book, Walt Disney. He hit his stride later on in his career too. Art is art. You can become a famous artist in your 70s. If you're good, you're good. And that's really all that matters. So honest to goodness, I would completely ignore your age, any period in your life. My students range from being 16 years old to being in their late 70s, and they always bring something new to the table. So don't even worry about that for 2 seconds.
We have a hashtag now.
Admuri. Adamuri. That's cool. Yeah, very cool.
Assalamu alaikum. Let's see. Yeah, I think that was our wait. Sorry. I'm trying to make the thing go away. Hey Holden, thank you so much for the kind words. Let's go ahead and
well, you're very welcome. There's a lot of fun.
Yeah, man, Adam, this was really great.
Yeah,
like, it flowed smoothly. There's still like way more bullet points that we could talk about again. I'm going to be on a road trip for this week, and then I'll be back. But if you're down to do this again, I'm totally.
You had me at hello. Don't worry about it. You ask, I'll be there. No problem. Where are you going, by the way? Where's your road trip?
Florida.
Florida.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's kind of.
Well, it's hot and sticky. Yeah, my dad's going to be here soon and coming to my place, and we're going to drive down from Ohio because my brother lives there. So we'll be visiting him and his wife and spending time with them.
Very cool. Enjoy your trip. Stay safe. Yeah.
We'll try. My dad's a doctor, and he's really paranoid about like.
What kind of? So I know I'm totally picking your brains, but what kind of doctor is he?
He's a internal medicine physician who just retired last week, so he's free to roam about.
Yes. Now people think he's just going to offer free services to people, off the bill.
Right. Well, actually, he wants to start a YouTube channel. So.
Oh, no kidding.
He's asking me for like tips, and I want to just set up like templates for him to just drag and drop his like talks and stuff like that. He's a smart guy. He's like what I bring to the table with art. He does the same thing with medicine in the same way where he explains things, and I get it from him. So this kind of way of speaking.
I'll get to meet your dad. I think that'd be awesome. Yeah.
Just one. Luna might not. Sorry. Where did it go? Here, fine. I'm seeing your question. This has been like, what is the best quality paper? I like Cottonwood Arts sketchbooks, as you've seen in my videos. Bristol board is really great too.
Yeah. If you don't draw an Arches paper, then you're a bum. Okay. Next question. Yes.
All right. Cool. So thank you everyone for joining. Be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and stay tuned for Adam's channel coming back, and hopefully that'll come back. And if it doesn't,
a week or two most, it should be back. They're working on it. My Google is back, but I'm just waiting on YouTube. That's it. But it's a slow process, but it should be fine. Yeah.
All right, cool. I guess we will sign it off, and everybody have a great day. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.